All right, everybody, welcome to today's call. It is Friday, my favorite day of the week to be with you, especially January 18th of 2019. And this is the TRC sales training call, as I said. Looking forward to this one. But before I get started, let me just put in a little pitch here for the podcast. The podcast exists. It's almost 56 episodes deep, as I just finished recording one. The way that you can hear the podcast is definitely iTunes. Go over there and subscribe so that you get the audio. So in between what you do in the short. I try to bang them out there under 20 minutes maximum, where there's a nugget that I have yanked from the coaching program at the mastermind level, chunked it up so that everybody can hear it and everybody can benefit from it, okay? So the Realty Classroom podcast, you can find it on iTunes. You can find it over on our YouTube channel, where I also record it live there as well. So we put up a video version, and of course on our Facebook page. So it's everywhere. So don't miss out on it. The Realty Classroom podcast, I'd appreciate the support. That would be awesome, okay? So today, coming off of that podcast, I'm thinking about the sales training call, saying to myself, gee, I really need to show them that selling on the phone especially is telemarketing. And I've had that conversations a couple times this week with some of my mastermind members, that when you're on the phone, you're not really selling as much as you are telemarketing, okay? Meaning these people have a need, and the reason for our business is so that we can fulfill that need with our service, right? That's the whole premise. It's this matchup. And oops, I better check these lines. Hang on, Laura. I just realized I might have had these on hold. Hey, can you all hear me? I had you on hold. How about that? All right, let me yeah, thanks. Let me hit that again. Hang on. Again, although you're on video, when you see the replay, you'll get a kick out of it. I just give a big pitch for the podcast, and none of you were on here, right? So the podcast, the Realty Classroom podcast, is me for about 15 minutes chunking up the most important points of the week that are bubbling up out of the mastermind work. They're free to the public and all of you clearly, and you should all go subscribe on iTunes, YouTube. You'll see them over there, or the Facebook page. All right, so let me get after this, what I was just talking about. I was saying that when you're all making phone calls, and that includes follow-up phone calls in the sales context, I think it's important that you understand that you better be asking yourself a question. Are we delivering the right message to the right person at the right time? Like really thinking about that, not just going through this transactional mentality that we're picking up the phone. We have X number of phone calls that we're supposed to make today on our day timer, right, Laura? Right? I mean, just go to the day timer and blindly just go through this. And, you know, Laura had a rough night the other night. She told me she went out with her friends. It was awesome to see her hungover. I was excited to see that. And yeah,
no, it's not awesome.
And there's days where, all kidding aside, you can come in like a day like that, where you know, whether it's kids or whether it's fun or whatever, and you can end up just going through the motions and you can forget that connection. It's not so much getting yourself pumped up to do the right thing as much as it is trying to get your head right that, am I listening to this person, number one, to what they want, and are we giving that to them? To just verify, hey, you came into my website, just want to verify that you're getting what you wanted from us. That's my first job. Or in a proactive way, we sent you some information that we thought you might want because you expired. Looks like you're the administrator of an estate, right? Really trying to make that first connection about, are we really servicing these people around what they want? Because if not, like, what are we doing, right? I mean, and I think that's, hang on to the thought, because then I get you all fired up now. I think the most important thing to think about in that context is that that's so critically important. But yet we will get on the phone and we will learn all these ridiculous techniques to try to trick somebody into having a conversation when we're not even asking, are we giving you what you want? Now think about what business we're in. We solve a problem for somebody who doesn't have enough guidance to make a smart buying or selling decision. Simple, right? I mean, if people could go out there easily and they could make a buying or selling decision easily, then what would happen is they would need us.
Yeah.
So we come into this void where it's like, okay, as much as they want to deride the real estate agent, they need us. But it's how we go about getting to that point with them, or at least More importantly, understanding how you get to that point with them, right? I think that's the key, especially with rookie training or resetting top producers. Well, we use a script. We use a script. And then all of a sudden, these poor people are getting put on the phone. Just read the script. Just read the script. Well, really? You get on and read the script as the owner, as the producer. You get on and you read it, and you steamroll over how you're not listening to what somebody really wants. And I know what you want. You want an appointment. You want to get there. And I'm not saying that doesn't work to an extent. You'll get there. But what if now you're getting there? Sarah Corey and I were talking about this, and Hannah. What if now you're getting there, and you're ridiculously early? And they're like, you were just so darn convincing on the phone that I said yes. But I don't have a need to take action now.
And then you have a pissed off outside sales agent that it was a horrible.
Then you have a pissed off outside sales agent that you sent them on this dog and pony show. Now you have a frustrated owner, and you have an inside sales agent looking at you going, you told me to do this. So again, I think it merits, all right, well, how do you fix that situation? How do you train that better from day one? Well, you become this guide right from the minute you start. And that takes the pressure off of all these people that are newer to it or restarting. Hey, look, Grant Van Dyke and Chris Egan and a couple of the other people in the mastermind really trying to get better at being comfortable about going after sellers primarily versus getting them serendipitously. John Griffin, right? Trying to be intentional. So it's not that this is just a rookie message.
No.
This is a message that's supposed to go to everybody that says, are you going into any telemarketing conversation, even a text and an email, just ensuring that the first beat is, are we delivering what you want? Because if I'm not doing that, then my competitors who are going to do it better are going to get the inside lane on that. Right? See, I think a lot of people fret this when there's a lot of competition. We were talking about this with Penny in Ottawa yesterday, where all of a sudden we were saying, okay, well, you're going in and there's a lot of cost cutting. There's a lot of fee cutting. There's a lot of discounters in Ottawa. And what do you do about that? Well, you start off better. See, I think we're always, and there's this weird defensive fault. Everybody does this, by the way. Every top producer does this. Well, tell me, what would you say in your own words if you got in front of a seller? And it's crazy. It's like, I this, I that, right? It's a weird default. It's almost like a defensive mechanism. It's almost like we're getting challenged. Well, why are you? Right? As if they're asking it like that. They're not even saying it like that. They're saying, look, I've lined up 4 or 5 people. Well, who'd you line up? Well, they don't do this, and I do that. It's a strange default, and I think it's because we don't know what to do that's better. I'll make the argument that what's better is saying, why is this even happening? How come you're selling this beautiful house? Why not keep it? What? Suggest that somebody keep their house when they've had, you see what I mean?
Well, I think it's the mentality that you're not in the mindset that they are the hero and you're just the guide.
Yeah.
So it's, you default to me instead of them.
Right. Which is definitely that orientation. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's just say we can get everybody to that you're a guide, it's about them. Now what do you do? And again, I think people are afraid to still embrace this concept that you don't have a choice in the internet age. You are going to have to learn how to give away your time. Give it away. And your time could be setting them up on MLS, right? And following up with them, adding insight to what they're getting from you, giving market updates. That's giving a lot away for free. And the most valuable resource is your time. But if more people would trust that in business, that is magnetic marketing, that is dramatic demonstration of value. Yeah. All this pressure for this one-off presentation where we have this delusion that we're going to, especially in the internet age, this delusion that we're going to walk in, this one moment in time, there's 5 or 6 of us lined up, and all that pressure to be so good in that moment, I think is absurd. I think it's absurd. And I think it's a dangerous model. Whereas a non-dangerous model is that those of us that will just embrace this, and even if it starts with your 3 friends a year, your family, your sphere, whatever, if you just start there with them, now what happens is you're in a position where, hey, that's great. Did you know I was a realtor? No, I didn't. I've only known you as my friend all these years. Yeah, well, I'm a realtor now. Really? Well, you don't know much, right? Well, absolutely I know. I'm like, you tell me what you want. Want to look at properties, right? Great. I'm going to take you and set you up online. Not going to bother you. It's going to be in your email. Like, what's wrong with that premise? I think it's a very basic premise that a lot of us just miss the value in that. And we downplay the value in that. Why is it so complicated as to, in our minds, what the consumer really wants? Right? We're the ones that are the problem complicating this whole thing, saying, well, couldn't be that. And plus, Zillow's already doing a 10x job, better than... No, they're not. No, they're not. You know why? They can't. They can give a good digital presentation. They can give a guesstimate of value. By the way, that's another one that drives me bananas, that we don't understand our value there. If you think about it this way, when I go out to a property, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to be able to, if they'll listen, price that property within that variance of 5%. Okay? If they'll listen, I'm going to be pretty close. And Cape Cod market, as you know, brutally difficult to find pricing. But I'm going to find it within 5% of where it really belongs. But yet people will run to the internet to use an algorithm that discloses it could be off by 20%. And the latest article I saw about that is that they're trying to work really hard to close it down to 5%. Hello? Here we are, everybody. We've been able to do that for a long time. In fact, we might be able to even do it tighter. In fact, we'll be able to tell you that's just a starting point, and based on any communication or lack thereof, we'll tighten it up even more. Henceforth, the final sale that goes down might only be off from the asking price 2%. So, like, our brains collectively have fallen out of our heads as to what our value is. Okay? So, but you can't throw that up, like what I just said to people, you can't throw that all up over people. You have to get them what they want first.
For sure.
So that you're demonstrating that value, right? In other words, you can't tell somebody or talk at them about what you're going to do. People want action in this world. Everybody's so skeptical about this nonsense promise. Lying has become the lead way of communication.
Yeah.
Go on the internet. Go in and listen to politics. Lying is now almost more obvious every night on TV than telling the truth, right? So it's become this cultural way that just everybody's lying to each other.
Which makes us on the defense all
Which
the time.
makes us skeptics, which makes us defensive. So more than ever before, because of all of the obvious lying now that has been exposed, right? From the WikiLeaks to obviously listening to something that the promise is made, never fulfilled. It's all obvious to us. So what do you do about that? You have to dramatically demonstrate that you are truthful, that you are honest. You can't say it because it's falling on deaf ears.
Well, it's that whole concept that actions speak louder than words.
No doubt. So
Period.
to dramatically demonstrate your effort to set them up, your effort to make sure it's working, your effort to call them and say, hey, here's another one. Your effort. It's the threshold for impressing somebody as an inverse reaction to the rest of the stuff happening is stunning. Let me explain what I mean. We're so expecting to be lied to these days, cheated, right, of anything, that it is an unbelievably easy threshold to get over to impress somebody. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
Isn't it incredible? Like, to actually just take some basic actions to help somebody get what they want is stunningly low. So if we would just do more of that basic stuff in the beginning, I think we're going to see quickly that appreciation from the other side, which gives you then the opportunity to go further. Am I wrong? Am I right? What do you think?
No, you have it exactly right.
What's your experience over time on the phone when you're talking to people, no matter what stage they're at right now? What's the biggest hurdle that everybody listening to the sales call today has? What's the biggest hurdle?
I think reaching people is the biggest hurdle.
Is that a symptom of all this negativity, of all this lying, do you think?
For sure. And I only know because of my own experience with answering my own phone of numbers that I don't recognize.
Yeah.
It will always go to voicemail. And so, like, I can't be surprised when that's happening to me when I'm making phone calls.
Yeah. Interesting.
But
So-
once I have them,
Yeah.
then it's all over.
Okay, go further there. Once, I'm going to put the mic a little closer to you. I know you guys can't see her that are online, but Laura's sitting here with me, and this little preamble. Heather, by the way, be on tap because you wanted me to cover something, so you're going to be up. Explain what you just said, though. The ability to stick with it I think is where a lot of people are falling apart. Okay?
Yeah.
But then you said, once I have them. I want you to talk about how you get them. How do you get them? In a world that's skeptical, nobody's answering the phone, how do you get them? What does it take?
I think it takes persistence and just keep trying until you get a no, leave me alone. You know? It's just the...
Is it until you get an answer? Like, what would you say to somebody that has a whole bunch of phone calls to make? Some of the numbers, a lot of them might be bad, false, whatever, no matter what the source. Mm-hmm. So why is it that you're comfortable sharing with people that they should stick with it? Why? I mean, don't most people just get disheartened and quit too soon? What about somebody you've spoken to that doesn't pick up the phone? How do you plow through that resistance in your head?
Well, I think part of it has to do with the fact that I've been doing it so long, consistently, so I know that it gets results.
Right.
So that, pushes me through. And I've always said to myself and to the group that silence is a form of communication. So, maybe they're just not ready for that type of relationship or content or information. It's just a matter of being there when they are. Yeah. So if you're not consistent and you're not the person that's there when they're ready, then you don't have a chance.
Okay, one last question before I open up the mics. When you are following up, trying to get them for the first time, leaving messages, or you've already gotten them so they've been prospected. So I'm going to deal with both the lead and I'm going to deal with the prospect. And you are talking to yourself for a couple of months and you leave a message. Deal with the lead first. If we know that we need to make sure the lead is getting what they want, similarly to the prospect who has at least accepted an offer of upgrade of information and some relationship, what do you say to those people? Hit those two beats and then we'll open up the mics.
So with the lead, it's more just a gentle touch saying, I'm here. I'm hoping you're getting the right information. If not, let me know. Sending them market information, just kind of overall information that would be helpful to anyone, no matter where they are.
So go wider.
It's more generalized.
How's the market? But yet still specific to the geography they want.
Exactly. I often reference the towns they're specifically looking in when I leave a message. So they have reference to, I'm getting houses in Dennis. Anything to kind of connect with them in some small way when I haven't yet had a conversation. Okay. So then prospect, then you're kind of doing similar depending on their timing, but in more of a deeper context. Yeah. So, in that case, I'd be sending them, tax rates, list of beaches on Cape Cod, info on schools if they have children, just kind of doing a little extra deeper dive, along with sending them market updates, giving them input on properties. So it's just the same concept, but just a little bit deeper.
Awesome. All right, everybody, we're going to open up the mics. Remember, *6 mutes your mic, *7 unmutes it. Anybody that wants to speak to the little preamble here today as we let people roll in here, or any questions for Laura, great. Heather, you're on tap because you had something that you wanted me to share. I can't access it because I'm broadcasting from my phone as well on Facebook, so you'll have to fill me in. All right, any questions about what we just went through? Questions, thoughts, clarifications? Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, buddy. Go ahead.
Okay. What I'm seeing in the office with my agents, they come to me, if not daily, almost every other day, frustrated with people that, and I tell them, I'm trying to teach them, just give your information, be generous. But the people are in their eyes, and probably they're being used. For example, I've got an agent who has a couple that reached out to her friend, but they're already signed with a discount broker to represent them, and they've not broken that relationship with that discount broker, although that discount broker is not providing them the off-market information that my agent is. And my agent is just despondent about the fact that she's providing this information, hoping that they'll break this relationship with a discount broker, but they won't they won't do that. Or my agents who have offered to discount their services, and that hasn't helped them get the business. So I guess, they come to me going, so what are we doing wrong? How do we get them to break this relationship with this other person who they're saying they're not happy with? I'm sending them all this information on off-market stuff that I'm aware of in the neighborhoods, and they're coming back to me saying, well, we're going to get when it comes on the market, we'll just get our agent to go show it to us. They said, how much more do we give them?
Oh, in that case, none. I mean, again, I think there's a level where we cross into insanity. I mean, and I want to be very careful every week that I am training what's pragmatic as much as it is from a giver's heart. It's a strange, difficult art form to balance those two. So it is, no doubt. And because I'm going to promulgate, the concept of combining the two, but therein lies the art. So I think it starts with Genesis. Where was the birth of that relationship? I think you always have to bring it back to that, Alan. In other words, we just don't think enough about how we met this person. What was the context? See, our own desperation, and it is that word, our own desperation to sell more compromises the brain. The strategic thinking goes out the window. You know that as a mastermind level thinker, right? It just goes out the window in a nanosecond. If I meet you at a property and I really don't have much going on for the next 2 months, and I have this inkling that you're serious, I tend to only look for the corroborating evidence in my brain as to why you're a good bogey for me, right? Why you are potentially my client. So I stop hearing and I stopped seeing that you wrote down an agent's name. Until all of a sudden it's like, yeah, well, by the way, we did sign something with this discount brokerage, right? And so then the brain triggers, discount, right? It's an alarm that goes off. Well, they could never do what I do. See, exactly where I started today's call, Alan, is that's the default that we have. And that's exactly what Penny was dealing with in Ottawa, was discount. See, forever the business has been, the service and the value of it has been under attack forever. Discounting fees and commissions is absolutely no new concept in any business. Mm-hmm. But that's a principal strategy for those people to simply get that person hooked to say it's less. Okay? It's less. Now, unless your name is Richie Madden and you got full service flat fee with a scale, then those people are absolutely USPing money. It's what Redfin's USP is. Redfin's a tech company that's trying to just blitz its way into our business with the concept of giving money away, giving margin away direct to consumer, not necessarily to the agent. Well, the problem in that model is everybody's getting squeezed. So the agent who's having a difficult time selling 3 properties a year, working for a discount model, eventually cannot afford to give the time. Yeah. They can't. So the service atrophies.
You're right.
Right?
And that's why the service lagged. And that's what my agent thought she could pick these people up, is because their agent is not providing the off-market listings.
Good. Stay there.
My agent in my office has been providing her the off-market listings. And all they're doing is then going back to their agent to get them to show them the property. So she's feeding.
She is being used. Well, you are being in that context. It's 100% stop. Tell her to stop doing that. Don't do that. But I want to go back and hit a couple beats here. See, there's a strange default in that conversation too, where if you go back to the beginning of the call and you listen to it again with your agents, I said this word value multiple times. And on my watch, Alan, I'm trying to express how I believe we all should understand what our value is and then be able to express it correctly. So there is an obvious differentiation, because there is. But we get frustrated.
And I think my agent did a good job. This is, and the genesis of their lead is this is a lady who goes to school, their children go to school together, and they know each other. And so she reached out to my agent out of frustration because they're not finding the right house.
Okay, stop. Oh, stop. Hold on, stop. That is the evidence that your agent needs to say, look, if you're not finding the right house, why not? Because you went for a discount model. So what are they giving you? And then that will allow me to determine what they're not giving you. then I can make you an alternative offer. And that never happened. What she did was default to dabbling in this relationship rather than putting it on this gal and say, look, I'm not here to disparage anybody's business model. But clearly, if you're not getting full service, this is the outfall. See, your perception is that somebody's discounted commission rate is how you get a good deal. I'll make an alternate thought process in your head that says a full service agent who's going to spend more time digging into value, who's going to be caring more about taking the time to negotiate, who isn't worried if you don't get one because they got plenty of time to work to the next one because there's no margin squeeze. Those are all the realities of the difference between a full service broker versus not. The not full service broker needs to turn it over with less time, right? And less service. Otherwise, the model doesn't work. So the point is, Alan, I think, yeah, she started just fine because there she was fulfilling a need potentially of somebody who wasn't getting it already in the process. But I think she probably, my guess is, she never sat that lady still and said this, look, it's an ethical violation to interfere with an existing relationship, especially if it's in writing. I don't feel good about that. But as your friend at school here with the kids, tell me what's happening. And then maybe I could give you some advice to go back to the agent and say, look, you need to do things like this for me. And if you can't, I need to move in another direction, right? So in other words, to coach that person, to go back to the original agent, ask for these services. If that person cannot provide it, then to come back to her, make a commitment to her for full service. I think there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think she probably was hoping too much that this other situation goes away, and it won't. It won't, because this lady made a decision based on a USP of a commission kickback, a reduced commission, whatever it is. Follow?
Yeah, that's a good point. She could have, when the lady reached out to her, it's the old, and I'm trying to remember how we did that. You know, when people would say, oh gosh, when we had the old script, you know, well, what's your fee? Well, you know, my fee, you know, that the question that they used to ask when you were calling sellers under the old Proctor script, and one of the deals was, you know, my commissions are flexible, but you know, we can discuss that more. I don't remember what the response was. I wish I could remember. And it's a similar thing here, and just kind of the reverse. You know, oh gosh. She didn't delve into that enough. You know, obviously, you know, are you committed to using this other agent? You know, well, I think so. Well, what are you not getting with your current agent?
Yeah, good. That's it.
Call me?
Look at that. That's it. That's exactly it. And if you think about it, it's very pragmatic or practical. But it's also ethical. Yeah. It's the ethical treatment of that person who's frustrated, and more importantly, it's ethical treatment of a fellow realtor. And I think that's where it starts. I don't live, there's so much abundance. Our success is not diminutized when somebody else has success, right? It's not.
And that's a good point, because she's chasing this deal because she doesn't have a business right now.
Exactly.
And she's hoping that if she gives and gives and gives enough, that they're gonna see that she has a value, but they may not. And I told her that. You know, they may not.
Well, Alan, go back and train her to explicitly have this conversation, right? She's afraid to have it because she feels like most of us do. It's a phenomenon of loss. We all fear the loss in advance of the loss happening. It's a fear-based position. But if we believe that there's plenty of success, very hard to do for new agents who don't really have a book of business yet. To feel that sense of abundance is very difficult. I get it. But there's still a right way to do it to feel good about yourself. I think the danger, if your agent doesn't go back and have this explicit conversation that says, look, I can't interfere with this relationship. I'd love to. And I probably shouldn't have been doing all this other stuff along the way. Okay,
exactly.
because it compromises both of us. So let's reset this. Go back to your agent and ask them not just to give you off-market properties. I had a problem with that too that I want to deal with. I think that's an issue. Hold on to that for a second. But she has to go back, start again, make it right, and say, look, I'm happy to help and coach you, but you're going to need to go over to this other person and express your frustration. And here's what you should ask for. My coaching to you is ask for this. Now, if that person cannot provide that level of service and that's what you want, I can't wait to help you. Let me be very explicit. I am ecstatic about helping you. In fact, let me just plant one more seed. I get it. You thought that discounted commission was valuable to you. Let me just do the math. When somebody like me cares to find you a good deal at a discount that might not even be on the market, don't you think you're going to save quite a bit more money that way than just simply getting a discount commission from somebody who's not going to lean in as much? Wouldn't you consider that that's probably where you really could win? Like, you have to hit people in the head with the logic hammer. There's nothing wrong with the fact that this gal made a decision to deal with a discounter. There's nothing wrong with that. That's her money paradigm. Somebody got to her first and made a value proposition that sounded logical. But it's like a debate. And again, remember the beginning, I said don't default to defense, but there's nothing wrong with debating a point. Say, look, I've made a decision to be a full service agent for these reasons because I can give you full service. And here's the cost of that. You don't have to use me. Not everybody does. But I'm going to stand firm that I believe that's more valuable than the discounted commission. Because here, and here are the points. Now at least that lady walks away with an alternative understanding and is more empowered to go back and either make the first discounted situation right or leave and come to where there's been full expression of value. Not just, I'm leaving this person because you have these off-market properties. Right? And because
I think she could have gone back. She could have gone back and hit them with, one of the things she could have said is, I can't believe that they made, that they required you to sign a 1-year buyer's agreement. I'm so confident in my full service approach that I wouldn't even require you to do. I'd say let's try it for 30 days and see if we get along together.
But Alan, hold on. Alan, hold on. I wouldn't even go there. Because to me, see, here's the problem I have with that. That still doesn't sound like abundance to me. It sounds like, I can't believe they screwed you. Like, that's what it sounds like to me. See, because really what you and I both know is, okay, somebody made them an offer and then locked them up and then went to sleep on them. That's a bummer.
That's exactly what's happened.
I understand that.
But not enough that they've walked away.
Correct.
Because the proposition of saving money is bigger than the abandonment.
The proposition of saving money on a commission in lieu of no other alternative. You follow me? Like, nobody has given them an intelligent alternative. So if the contract is breakable, if that person doesn't deliver, they have no alternative. See, I think it's this concept of secret agent. What is the service that we're offering? It's this whole message to market match where we go at the mastermind level, where it's you have to get out into the field and express these things to people to magnetically attract them and says, that's interesting. I've never heard a realtor talk like that before. I've never heard anybody
on the other proposition, give them what you do.
Yes, exactly right.
Explain your story, express your story, be passionate about your story. This is why I've chosen to be a full-service agent, because I know what it takes to get a person a house. And after, if I were doing it at a discount, I'd have to, after a couple of showings, I'd have to put you on the back burner because I'm not making enough money to give you the service I feel like you deserve as a home buyer.
You got it. You got it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And again, this is why I think I make a big deal on the campfire calls about repeating the 7-point steps, the 6-point steps. If you educate the consumer how complicated buying a house really is and how complicated selling a house really is, it's not going to be lost on them that, that might take some time to do. That might take some thinking. But see, we don't go from that position to educate the consumer about what they just bought at a discount or not. Right? So I think that's what's lacking in this case. But standing firm on value. Let me come back to one point, and then I've got to take care of something Heather asked me to take care of. I think...
Sure, I'm sorry.
No, it's all good because it's really good. What I think is the issue there, Alan, is that off-market property thing. I want to make everybody understand that if that is your offer, and that is the core of your offer, you are begging for a problem. You are begging for a problem. Because I think what's lacking in this industry is a strategic approach to just a market. Like, what's wrong with MLS? Why is MLS all of a sudden the bad guy for so many agents that we have to go off into the poppy fields looking for this random, house that is not on the market? So you know why? Because we have fallen into the trap of believing that now that MLS is publicized, there's no value in us as it relates to MLS. That's insane. That's insane. Because there is so much digging and rooting and understanding that has to go on when you're looking at a property. There's so much that goes on that you have to dig in. That takes a guide who's willing to spend the time, who's working on their business. There's so much more to it than that. Look, I have friends who are still working in a Wall Street environment as traders, okay? I got a guy, a friend of mine, Mike, who does it to this day. And the kids play hockey together, and we talk about it all the time. They've been trying to replace that guy with technology for years in a business where you probably come the closest to it. And they can't. Why? There's this whole approach to hearing what you want, going into the marketplace, making adjustments, digging, being on top of it. What happens when that discount broker is off with somebody else because they can't make enough money, and a hot property hits the market and they just didn't have the time to do it? See what I'm saying? So the service of digging in for these people is so valuable. Why are we emphasizing, I've got you a list of off-market properties, as if that's the only differentiator between a full-service, full-time agent and a discounter? Come on. Pick up the 6-point steps and say to the buyer, look, it's more than a discount and a commission. This is about representation, step one. Then the pre-qualification to match your money up with the best features and benefits that money can buy. Then it's about going out and refining these things so we hear it. It might not be off market. It might be overpriced, sitting there right now. You see, we're defaulting away from this real strategic, intelligent, professional approach, and we're looking for the magic line to compete with the person who's rushed to the bottom and said, well, I'll do it for 1%. I need the money. That's a race to the bottom, right? That's a race to the bottom. And again, with Rich and his business model, where we do the full service flat fee, the whole concept of moving up the ladder in value, even if it's a flat fee or it's a lesser fee, we're still moving up. We're still saying, we do these things, but you need to follow this plan if you want this number. That's different directions. You follow? Got it, Alan?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. Full service needs to be understood. What does it mean to fully understand being a full service agent? You got to be able to express that intelligently, quickly, and concisely to the consumer so you give them an alternative to just rushing towards giving money away. Okay? All right, Heather, jump in here with me. You had something for me today, and I didn't read it, so you'll have to guide me in what the context was.
Yeah. So basically, this was, and thanks, Saida. She helped point this out to me too.
Cool.
You're awesome. So basically, when I posted my newsletter, my yearly end report, market report on Facebook, I had a little spiel that I said with that, and one line that I said in there, I got a couple negative responses, so I kind of wanted to go over that with you.
Oh, yeah. I did see that.
The thing that I ended up saying was, let's see, I'm trying to pull it out here. I said that although higher inventory has begun to quell the steep increase in prices experienced in the last few years, the Bay Area market remains healthy. And then, so one of the comments I got was really just somebody saying, said, this is disgusting, and one of the main reasons I'm leaving the Bay, these prices are not worth living anywhere, let alone in a flat, ugly valley full of nothing but suburb strip malls and office parks.
Yeah, I did see.
And then there was one other person thumbs up that and then said, healthy, the middle class is entirely priced out. How is that healthy? So I this. I wanted your thoughts, but I wanted your thoughts too. But as I was thinking about it, I was going to respond with this. Tell me what you think, and then, of course, we'll go from there. I was going to say, I appreciate your frustration and think that we can all agree that housing prices have accelerated over the past few years, pricing out many first-time home buyers that have been struggling to break into home ownership. When referring to a healthy market, it's in light of recent economic reports and a modest and steady increase in months' supply of available homes from this time last year. More supply of inventory will help quell the extreme rise in home prices that we saw in quarters 1 and 2 of 2018. And as wages are also beginning to increase, affordability for home ownership will also likely increase.
Okay, stop. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. Did you click on either one of these profiles to see who was commenting?
Yes.
Okay.
And they're just
Hold on.
people.
They're not frustrated
Okay.
people. This kid's a wackadoodle. Jonathan Pritchard. Honestly, I'm most annoyed with over Tumblr banning porn is Apple. Okay? Let's end that one right there. Okay? So there's zero need. Hold on. Let me finish. And then he's got something. I scored 2 pans of Lucky Jeans at the top. So I don't even know if it's a hacked account or not. So it could be a hijack of your that kid's account to post. So number 1, 86 him, bounce him. Okay, going to the next one. Let me take a look at this guy and see if this guy's legit. So the first guy, Pritchard, delete the comment. It's just a waste of time. Like there's nothing there. So I wouldn't even get into it with Jonathan. Okay, but I do like interaction. And again, this is only because you have a lot. The top guys and gals out there in this social media world, they don't even worry about that stuff. They don't even respond to it. I don't even think anybody cleans it up on their site. You can block, you can filter stuff with some of the other stuff, right? But when you go take a look at this, I can't even see the next one. Did one of them delete themselves already?
I did. I just deleted it.
All right, well, you deleted the other one I couldn't see. But Jonathan Pritchard is the one
No, the other one was me. The other one was just me. I posted it to my page, my personal page. I just said, hey, do Silicon Valley Market Report, take a look and share. Thanks.
No, but where was the one that said healthy with all the question marks?
The other one said healthy. The middle class is entirely priced out. How is that healthy?
All right, good. There's one that's worth responding to. Because what that negativity is giving you is an opportunity to give insight. So I think the very fact that you post this is good. It's provoked something. But I mean, I would take the time to vet this and make sure it's not some wackadoodle that has nothing else to do. And but you might be able to start an intelligent discussion off of a comment from somebody who's at least hit the level of sane, right? So I would just, before you go and spend any time on this, make sure that it's not just some sort of a internet trolling situation. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
There's trolls out there, and those people just delete them or hide them and move on.
Yeah, that's right. But this other one is the market.
Well, what did you think about what I had said?
Yeah, well, hold on. Here's what I heard. Blah 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 until my brain shut down and I stopped you.
Okay.
You weren't speaking human.
Okay.
Yeah, you weren't speaking human. You were speaking some weird speak that's all technical. These are humans here, and they're emotional.
Okay.
And you give them some kind of a corporate response. Huh? Right?
Yeah.
Say, no, I understand where you're coming from, but let me give you this same advice I gave to Alan. Let me give you this alternative thought about that. Okay? But you're going to have to go a little bit deeper. See, I like these people that challenge us because they make you go deeper and they make you ask me, and now you have to go do some research. Has the cost, what is the pace, so that middle class family, what is the cost of living as it relates to the middle or median income?
Yeah.
No, you don't. No, you don't. It's
Well, I'm not sure where you're. Okay, just keep talking.
It's an affordability index.
Right.
You follow me? That's simple. I'll leave it at that concept. If somebody challenges you if you say healthy, this is a good challenge going forward because you wrote your opinion. It's best that if you can get some hard fact that you can hang your hat on, and that's all you're commenting on, then you have a more solid foundation that when you get challenged, say, yes, I sourced this affordability index from, the San Francisco Bay Area, housing department. And the affordability index says that the median household income, which talks to middle class. I mean, you can't get more middle class than the median income, okay? That's about what the definition is. And then you just have to look at what percentage for principal and interest right now to buy the median house. What does that look like? You could do your own math, but if there's an affordability index out there, that's what you're looking for. All of you that cover high rent areas too, don't be going out there and just randomly saying it's a great time for renters to buy. Well, in downtown Boston, that's not true. It's just not true. Because I'm a renter myself for my daughter's school housing in downtown Boston. And it is far cheaper than buying the place she's in. It's not even close. So I have to sit back, as much as I'd love to be a buyer, and not go there. Because I don't have to live there and I don't have to own there at the moment. So we have to be careful about what we say as it relates to reality of that moment. And that's math. Know some basic math about the Bay and then respond. But I think the guy about median income, he's challenging you. I love that. Come back with an affordability index. Say, look, my reference to healthy relates to affordability, okay, on the buy side, right? And by the way, who were you talking about?
Who was I when I wrote that?
Yeah.
I was basically referring to the fact that the economy, around here, everybody's with the stock market reducing so much that people have been worried that we're headed into another crash and another housing market crash. So I was very generally referring to the fact that we're still in a healthy market here and not concerned about a crash.
Okay, say that explicitly in your response to him. Say, I referenced the fact that the marketplace does not appear to be anywhere near a precipitous crash. However, to speak to your reference about middle class, here's what we find. Prices are off. Prices are off. Interest rates are still low. And if you look at the affordability index, it says this. You follow me? So validate what you said. Say we've moved into, with all the negative news, what my experience is as somebody who does this every day, it's actually healthy that interest rates went up, prices corrected slightly, more inventory was available. That's a healthy situation for buy and sell. But to speak to the ability of the middle class human being to survive in the Bay, here's what this is. And if he's right, applaud him. Say, you are correct. The Bay Area remains a very difficult place to not be above spending what you should be to buy. Validate him. Whatever the data says, respond to him in a validating way. Does that help?
Yes, very helpful.
But I love this.
Thank you.
But I love this. You're welcome. I love this because both you and Laura have both referenced this today, and I don't want it to be lost on people. One of the most important conversation starters on social, on the telephone, in general public, is the answer to how's the market. And that starts with a very basic understanding of, price per square foot, average sale price, median sale price, square footage, days on market, month supply. It's a very basic, I'm looking at, all the basics that we do at the mastermind level on yours, right? I mean, to have a basic understanding of that is one piece of it. The next piece, what does it mean? And it's very difficult for the trends in the real estate market to mean good news for everybody, right? If you're a seller and you waited to sell in a hot market like Seattle, for example, right? If you waited to sell and you are now in today's market you missed the wave that lifted you up artificially to a certain extent. You could have made all sorts of pricing it right mistakes and still sold. As interest rates went up and it cooled off those buyers from making probably silly purchases at the top, it begins to correct, inventory grows, and it normalizes. Those that have to sell drop their price. That's a great thing for the middle class in Seattle. And if that's happening in the Bay, that's a great thing. Finally, they're coming down. Finally, not precipitously, but finally they're coming down. And I can show you that, at least in a rudimentary way, that last year's Bay Area average sale price was this, and now it's lower than that by 10%, 5%, 2%. If it's not, then we have to go look at the affordability index, because now we have interest rates and all those other variables that could be there. So, it becomes a little bit complicated in that stats are what they are. But, look at, you have a list to sale price ratio of 106.8%. Okay? That still hasn't cooled off. So when he looks at that in the Bay Area and he sees 106%, you got to overbid by 6%. And oh, by the way, it's 1.6 mil. Well, most people that have the average or median income living in the Bay Area can't come anywhere near that. So he's right. So they don't have a chance of buying because their math might not even pre-qualify to buy that average house. And when they go to the bottom of the barrel, they're like, no way. So guess what they do? They rent.
Or they leave the city.
They rent or they leave.
They leave, yeah.
You got it. It's what happens. They rent or they leave. And this is what real estate does to have this serious effect. So this could be a very interesting spin for you to capitalize and say, even though the market's normalizing, you can look at these numbers and still say it's so white hot. It's certainly keeping the first-time home buyer out of this marketplace. And even the median income is upside down from an affordability index standpoint. Now, I don't know if you know what the average rent is in the Bay Area, but it may be much more affordable to rent than it would be to buy. Not saying that that makes your case, but that is definitely all indicative of a needed correction. The market is out of whack and is losing support from the bottom. And that's where it's really dangerous. When your first-time home buyer can no longer get entry-level housing, when your move-up guy is stuck and can't do something, and you are now really a place for just luxury, you have a really, really precipitous, dangerous, slippery slope you're on as a marketplace that's looking for an ugly correction to happen at some point because there's no support from the bottom up. Follow?
Yeah.
So he's right to say, healthy, girl, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right? I love the challenge. Let's see where the math goes. Go check it out, okay? But bravo.
Okay.
This is...
Yeah, I may connect with you offline before I post that.
Yeah, but what everybody should be understanding is what you did to provoke conversation. We're in a sales context here. You take a piece of data about how's the market, you put it up on your site, you push it around, and you get reaction. Now, there's a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines going, ooh, what will she say? Right?
Yeah.
I'd almost come
Yeah.
back with a video response. What a great opportunity to hijack the moment to not just post a response, but to video respond. And let them show.
Yeah.
I want them. Yeah, but stop. I want them to see your heart. See, means it's about you, right? I don't look good on video today, and I go blah, blah, blah. Why? If you were the same way you're talking to me about it, I would post a video response to this that says, "Hey, if you look in the thread here, somebody had a really intelligent comment about what healthy means." So let me explain what it means. I don't see some precipitous crash coming. Okay? Here's why. However, he's right. For the middle class and entry-level buyers, the Bay Area remains a very difficult place. However, for all of you in those two categories, keep your eyes open. The correction is beginning. It might take some time. It might not get where you need it to get. But keep your eye open for it, and I will be back with more updates. Got it?
Okay, yeah. All right.
Yep. Well, you're selling to the many. It's one-to-many sales here. And what are you selling? The value of your insight as to what's going on. You have response. Hey, look, hug the troll. You know what I mean? Troll's in there. He didn't put some whacked out thing, right? He put something, but I just didn't want you to take him too seriously. He's a little bit of a troll, but it's intelligent trolling to a certain extent. Okay? The prices are not worth living anywhere. Okay? So he's mad. Now he gets a little carried away, flat, ugly valley, full of nothing, blah, blah, blah. He throws up all over the world. That's the trolling piece of it. But what's not is these prices aren't worth it. They're not worth it. And I'll tell you what, Tommy Turner's probably on here, okay? Tommy's seeing this huge migration into Idaho. So everybody who has a conservative bent and is living in Oregon and California is marching across to Idaho, where the affordability is incredibly great. Tommy, if you're on here, you can tell me the median price there. But it, like, imagine looking at 1.6 and going over there. Let's presume it's like 400, and there's wide open sky and spaces. Tommy, is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it's less than that, but yeah.
There you go. Less than that, Heather. So you see, this kid is talking about a very real geographic phenomenon. That the more you can gain insight, you should pick up the phone and call Turner, and you should have a conversation with him, right? Because people are coming from your general side of the world, and they're moving in to these other places that are beautiful, wide open. You should see some of the properties in Idaho. I mean, these guys have more open land. It's beautiful, right? I mean, it's you know, again, I'm not going to get into politics because then you're all going to beat each other up. But my point is, you know, right? I mean, the politics are different.
We all drive trucks and carry guns.
Yeah, there you go. I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. Don't get Cantu going. Don't get Cantu going. Yeah, Gail, come on. Hit me, Gail.
Okay, so I agree with you partially.
Yep.
But we're in a hotbed of technology.
Yep.
And you know, there's more to it than just going to Idaho. People, you're going to go to Idaho. What are you going to do there? So people want to come.
Uh-oh, Turner's going to shoot you.
Like the Roman era. Rome, everybody lives like 1 inch from each other because this is the place to be. If you want to have startups and every young person feels they're an entrepreneur. So there is that type of people that are here. And there's old money here, there's new money here, there's venture capitalists. We are a hub for all of that. And so I think, you know, there are people that are leaving. Those are older demographics that are going to Oregon, or I don't know if you want to go to Idaho, but whatever. So, but we still have an immense amount of people coming in to the Bay Area. I'm not talking about California. I'm talking about the Bay Area, Silicon Valley Peninsula. There's a difference. We're a largest state, of course.
Yeah.
But we're talking about what the draw is and why real estate will increase in value even in a down market. So it's just the way that it is. I can show you statistics.
Yeah, well, hold on.
2008 we flattened out, but
Yeah.
we're going to be doing great.
What are we disagreeing about?
Nothing.
Oh.
Just was adding.
Oh, all right. I wanted to be fair.
To talk.
No, yeah. You've been on vacation too long. You just wanted the microphone. I love it. I love it. Hey, listen though.
Yeah,
but,
and I think, Heather, you did it. I'm watching your videos. I love it. You're doing a fantastic job.
I agree.
Outstanding.
I agree with that statement. I agree with that. And let me say this. Hold on. Yeah, hang on. Chris Egan, hang on. I just want to respond. I got time. I'm happy to go bonus time here because we got everybody incented here now. I think therein what Gail just did is exactly what Gail should be doing online in her marketplace.
Yeah.
And expressing what she just said. But in the same breath, Gail, to not be blinded, towards asking the other part of the question. You made the case for all these young entrepreneurial types. They're making money. There's old, there's new, and prices keep going up because there's limited land, and that's the place to be if you're in that club. Question would be, what if you're not in that club? Right? What if you're not in that club?
Those are the people people I want to talk to. I don't want to be talking to people
understood.
that are not in that club.
I understood. And
because if they're not in that club, they can't do it, and I'm sorry for them, but I can't help them. They have to help themselves.
Bravo.
So,
there you go. So Heather, therein lies why I think Gail's business has improved like Lee's. They have made a very, very serious commitment to Avatar. Mm-hmm. It's a very serious commitment to Avatar. So they're not going to be apologetics about that. They're going to go after and say, you're right. I'm an agent in Palo Alto, Atherton, right? West Palo Alto. This is who I am. And quite frankly, the median sales price is this. But also the median income in this area supports that. Right? So if you want to work in Palo Alto and work your way up the ladder, this isn't the place to live. You need to go commutable, and this is where you're going to have to be. Otherwise, you're going to have to rent, and here's what the rent is, right? I want you all to become those experts so that you offer that much deeper insight. It's got much more texture to it. What you're talking about today, to me, is delicious. It has more texture to it because it's deeper. It tells the story at a deeper level, and that makes you are more valuable. Mm-hmm. Got it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Chris Egan, go ahead. You had something for me. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, just wanted to go back to towards the start of the conversation. I had a couple of questions here, two-part questions for you, Ann Laura. First of all, in reference to leaving messages with the golden, and you're not reaching most people you're calling. That being the biggest challenge.
Yeah.
What is your position on leaving messages? What have you found to be the message to most effectively provoke response? That'd be one question I had. And then the other thing I wanted to go with was, our new executive admin, we're going to put her on this path of calling past clients. And, of course, we know what we want, but the context of calling them to give them what they want at the start of the conversation, other than we want to reconnect with you and we want to send you our mails, our newsletter, make sure we have the right address. Where would you take that conversation from the very start?
Well, first of all, I think you're still pressing for what you want. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's clear to Shannon, as we sit here and listen to you, it's clear to us that you, Chris Egan, are asking this question in the context of, because you even said it, what would you say to get a response?
Yeah, you can't.
I don't even know that we could advise you. Because then we're putting ourselves in a position where you're looking for that universal thing to say that provokes conversation. And it's so individualized, and there's so many variables based on their timing that you just, it's not impossible. You could use all sorts of trigger language. You could go to Influence by Cialdini, and you can listen to all these things, and you can start to get almost even a little bit corny about the whole thing and start to use provocative things. Hey, call me back. I've got some insider information for you. Hey, call me back. I have an off-market property that thinks, Matt, you could play that game. Not on my watch.
Well, just...
Yeah, hold on. Let me finish.
Yeah.
Hang on. I didn't mean to put you in a defensive mind position. I'm trying to challenge your thinking because, like the boys in Canada, and Sarah up there trying to teach them, boy, it's really difficult to get people out of that transactional mindset where they believe that every phone call or there's some trick or there's some gimmick that they're missing to get people to do what they want to do. And that's not magnetic marketing. That's not magnetic sales technique. It is to simply have this perseverance and patience. If there's any combination of attitude, it's perseverance and patience. And it goes back to what we just hit a seam here with, and it was exciting, is that we put information out there about the market. It provoked conversation. Why? Everybody wants to know how the market's doing when it comes to real estate. It's the most global, and Laura already said it, it's the most globally relevant conversation with anybody who has some interest in buying or selling. That's what it is. They have some global interest in it. So you start with the more global information. But what she also expressed, and why I asked her the question and framed it the way I did, if it's a lead, I asked her, what do you do? And she said, I talk about the marketplace. I maybe look at their criteria. If it's an expired, if it's a, internet buyer lead, you have some context that you can relate the more global conversation to them. So they hear the dog whistle, oh, that's what's in it for me. So I think she will have to be trained to look for a couple of things where she can blow the dog whistle to say, we hear you. We see what you want, and this is what we think about that thing that you want. Feel free to call us back. Otherwise, we'll continue to follow up. I even said it to a friend of mine today, gone through some tough times over the last couple of years. True to the post that I made earlier, I picked him up and said, brother, just want to know that, I'm out here. We love you. We're thinking about you and your family. No need to call me back. Now he did, because he wanted that conversation to happen. But I genuinely did not care if he did. It hit my heart to do that thing that was right in that moment. And I think you have to bring that care into this business and say, we're here. We don't want to bother you, but we're not going to go away if there's an opportunity to help you. That's the attitude. So I don't stop looking so much, Chris, for this exact thing to do. It's more about here's globally what's happening in this geography, and it seems like you kind of want this, so I'm going to mention this. Then once they become a prospect, to be able to go back and say, hey, since we last talked, I even saw this thing that's even a little bit more specific. So we're putting touches, a series of touches on them until they're ready, right? Say whatever you do, even though it's early, don't be afraid to call me and ask me questions. You're never wasting my time. So if there's one thing that I would suggest you could coach them on is please, I will continue to follow up with you. No need to call me back if your timing is not now. But please do not hesitate to call me, no matter how silly you think the question is or how early you think you are in the process. This is what we do. It's legit.
And
So
people do need to be coached on that, because they really do say to me all the time,
yes.
I don't want to waste your time.
Yeah. See, people say to her all the time, I don't want to
Even our
waste your time.
clients.
Because even our clients, because that law of reciprocity is so powerful that it almost makes people feel guilty because their timing's not ready. So they'll tell you, I don't want to waste your time. I'm not ready yet, is the essence of what they're saying. Say, don't worry about that. So, Chris, if there's one takeaway point we can coach you on, it's that thing there. You are never wasting our time. You are never bothering us. This is what we do every day, and we are happy to do it. Right? And then continue to be proactive. Make sense?
Right, it makes total sense. And I should have set up my questions with some exposition as far as, because I've been coaching Ashley, can have you sit down, you're going to call these past buyers that have purchased within this time range. We're going to reestablish context, and the beat of the call is, here's who I am, here's why I'm calling. And she asked a very insightful question. She said, okay, well, what am I offering them other than reconnecting and we want to send you our newsletter? What is the reason for my calling them other than for those purposes? And, that's where, if she's getting voicemails, making calls to that list or that group of people, what message, just something.
Well, hold on. There's always, it goes back to what I said to Alan. I said the same thing to Alan. What was the genesis of the relationship with you? How did you get them to begin with? Like, Chris, the question that you're asking would be the appropriate one if we had zero idea of context. We had none. And then we're all sort of lost, like, who are we talking to? What are we saying? Right? But I think in the genesis or the birth of every name, like if I buy a list of probates, if I buy a list of expireds, FISBOs, if I get internet leads, I have some context. That's why I'm calling. Stay to the context that starts there, right? Now, if you want to call to action on the lead side, if you can't get somebody and you want to bring it to a conclusion, I do think after several attempts to do something where you're not adding value, they're not getting properties from you, they're not opening them, they're not getting a quarterly valuation from you, if they're not getting some continuous information that's helpful to them, I think it's okay to say, look, I don't want to bother you anymore. But in the same breath, I don't want to miss the opportunity to help you if you still have real estate context. So could you just do me a favor? Could you let me know either way so that I can stop or continue? I think, again, it's this legitimate plea to ask the consumer for help, to say, are you an opportunity for us to work together or not? Got it?
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, go ahead,
got
Lee.
it, got it. Yeah, these are the people that, I mean, the context is that we help them buy their house, but, maybe we haven't talked to them in 3 years, maybe we haven't talked to them in 10 years.
Market
Maybe
update.
We don't know if they're going to...
Market update. I've said this.
What's that?
I've said this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
You have a relationship with them as a real estate financial expert. So the same information that we were just talking about that Heather gave out to the population, talk about that. Why are you insecure in that? Hey, mea culpa, mea culpa. It's been years since we talked. I've done a lousy job of following up to be your financial, advisor in the context of real estate. So I wanted to get you back in the loop and keep you up to date on how the market's doing. Period. Oh, by the way, if you're thinking about rebuying or selling or you know somebody, I've got these new courses and all this new stuff. Just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to continue to do a better job of getting the information to you that matters, which is an update on the market so you can protect your asset. That's it, Chris.
Perfect.
Okay? All right, Lee, go ahead, and then we're going to wrap. Go ahead, buddy.
I was just going to say that, prospects and past clients, I would definitely leave voicemails, but we did a voicemail drop on Sunday during the snowstorm, and we loaded up 221 leads and did a voicemail drop, and we had 46 callbacks, and 30 out of the 46 didn't even listen to the voicemail. So I know it's going against the grain, but I think that people, if you don't leave a voicemail, they just think it's a telemarketing call. But if you do leave a voicemail, then they think it might be something important. So they didn't even listen to the voicemail when they called us back, and we still engaged. And out of that 220 whatever leads, we have conversations with about 6 people right now from that voicemail drop.
Yeah, awesome. And again, let's pick that up next week on sales calls, how we leverage technology to cut through the noise. I think that's a legitimate thing for everybody to share in a sales call. Certainly we'll hit it in the mastermind too, but I look, I'm a big fan of getting messages however they'll do it. And I'm not gonna ignore, and Chris, I'll answer you the same way, and Alan, I'm not gonna ignore the fact that human beings make the weirdest decisions to do things based on these weird phenomenon in life. No logic involved. No logic. But what I do think you can do is I think you can overcome, at least our experience, right, Laura? Mm-hmm. You can overcome some of that randomness by being there and magnetically drawing them into an intelligent conversation. I think if you leave it towards something less than that, then they're more likely to buy irrationally, to look for services irrationally, emotionally. I think that's the point I'll leave everybody with, is that, Lee, if somebody calls me and doesn't leave a message, curiosity is what you're playing off of. They click it, they call back, and they'll either say, who's this, what's up, who are you? And you can use that to your advantage. And I think that works, like you said, real well at the lead stage. So if you're exasperated at the lead stage and you're not getting people and you want to cut to the chase and see who can engage you, I think the technique of using just some of that human reaction without the logic, because a lot of people will hear your great message, but they don't have timing that meets it right now, so they stay in the shadows. Whereas maybe if you could get them to react, you could at least get them into the funnel for longer term follow. All right, everybody, listen, that's enough of me. Really good job here today. Bravo, bravo, bravo for the participation. You say that on a Friday, right? I'm thrilled by it because it's really good quality stuff. So we'll see you all at the other side. Keep plowing down there in D.C. I have to fly into a snowstorm in Pittsburgh for hockey this weekend, so keep me in mind. Hopefully I make it back in one piece. See you, everybody. Go get them.
Thanks, Danny.
You bet. You bet.
Okay.
You bet.
Thank you.
You're welcome.